Hello, this is Ian, and this is Ian's POV. What a weekend! Easter weekend, we've met the family. I've done a little bit of work in the workshop, not a lot, just had a fiddle. And a job needs doing, and I go out and have a play and then come back in. So I've been out this morning, and I've done a bit, and I've had my lunch, and I thought, I've got to do a video. So here I am. Now, the Americans and the Israelis are knocking 10 bales of shit out of the IRGC. IRGC is, as Tusi explains, an Arab occupying force. They're different types of Muslims than the normal, ordinary Iranian people. The Iranian people are Shia. The occupying force, the IRGC, is Sunni. A lot more radical, psychopathic in some stages, I would think. And they ain't good people. If they're going to kill 32,000 of their own people by just peacefully protesting on the streets, then they ain't no good. So the Americans are flying without any air cover, or the Iranians haven't got any air cover, because they bombed all their planes and ruined all their airfields. So the Americans started off with the radar stations and the communications and the planes and got rid of that to start with. So now they got total control of the air, the Americans. They then start on the infrastructure, the command posts, the headquarters. Now, there was a report on the BBC and CNN that the Americans had hit a girls' school. And they tried to make Trump look bad. Because of the war, all the schools are closed and everybody's at home. The IRGC had occupied it, but it turns out that the Israelis have hacked the IRGC communications and computers. The underground silos with the missiles, they hacked it so the lid that goes up was halfway. So the planes flying over could see them. They could spot them. The Israelis are concentrating on the leadership of the IRGC. And they're finding out where they are. And Mossad got boots on the ground somewhere. And they're working with the Iranian people. And they follow them. They follow the cars, where they go, in, out. So they know where they are. And if they got a meeting, they all go to a meeting and they really come in and bomb them. That's how they've managed to annihilate the top brass of the IRGC. Now, they're still throwing drones and missiles, but not as many. You know, they were doing 200 drones a day. They're now down to single figures. But a handheld missile in the hands of an Iranian soldier managed to hit an F-15. The pilots bailed out and the plane dropped a couple of 100 miles away. The pilots, the two pilots, well, the pilot and co-pilot, who's a weapons specialist officer, which was a colonel. They parachute out, and the different winds split them, and they landed 2 miles apart in hostile country in the middle of Iran. If you look at a map, they landed in the middle, and there's mountains. They reckon the mountains are 7,000 feet high either side. So they moved away from the crash site was miles away. So they got ejector seats there, so they move away from that. But they're 2 miles apart, so they're independent now. Now, the Americans have got tags. It's the only way I could describe it. They've got distress beacons, which are activated. So the Americans knew exactly where these two guys were. The first guy was picked up quite easily, without any problems. Now, what we're now being told is the Americans had a forward operations centre right in the centre of Iran. And the Iranians never even knew. Well, we didn't get told, did we? They took up 2 C-130s, that's the old Hercules. Been in Hercules? Yeah. Noisy thing. When the airons go up and down, you get the electric motors in your ears. Yeah. That was an experience. Anyway. These modern ones can carry small helicopters. And they can carry tanks and all sorts of things. Anyway, they've got small helicopters. So they've got a makeshift airfield somewhere in the middle of Iran. They land 2 planes. One plane manages to take off, and the other one's nose wheel gets stuck in. They tried to get out, couldn't do it. But they got everybody out. That's the important thing. Everybody got out, and they then bombed their own plane on the ground so it didn't fall into the hands of the Iranians. That's what they do. Now, the WSO, Weapons Specialist Officer, or something like that, he's down on the ground, and at night he crawls up the hill. He's wounded. We're told he's seriously wounded, but he will survive. And he crawls up the hill. He's still communicating with the Americans and got some help from the Israelis. The Israelis are supposed to have had a task force there as well, a SEAL force and a Delta force, all helping to protect this one guy. Absolutely. There's going to be a film made of this, I tell you. It's got to be a Hollywood buster. The story is just incredible. And they couldn't take the plane off, so the C-130. So they missiled it with a cruise missile. Boom, up it goes. Everybody got out, we're told, so they took helicopters in and took them out. The other C-30 that landed, that got out. They managed to pick up the pilot. The big local, I don't know how big the local town was, but there's a town just north of where the guy landed. And the American forward base was in between where the pilot was and the town was in the middle. And that's been there for quite a while. Americans have been in the centre of Iran and nobody knew. We know now, though, because they told us. The Israelis were helping. Delta Force was involved. Anyway, they got the pilot out on Saturday. And of course, Saturday night, Sunday morning, it's all over. All the BBC reported was that he was rescued. CNN, when I turned it on yesterday morning, they were talking about the Americans having 1,000 people in secret in Iran, and 750 of them were killed. And they're saying, oh, it's a cover-up. But according to 2C, that is fake news. That did not happen. What they did is the CIA were flying in southwest, about 200-300 miles away, flying up down the valley, where around about where the plane crashed, looking for somebody that wasn't there. And the Iranians got drawn in like flies. And a lot of them were killed. So the Iranians were killed, not the Americans. Now, how they killed them, I don't know. If it was warthogs or helicopter gunships or whatever, I don't know. They didn't get that far. But they wiped out a load of Iraqi fighters. Sorry, not Iraqi, Iranian fighters. The Iraqis are slightly north in the centre of Iran, and they had a go at those on Friday as well. They infiltrated, Iraqi Sunnis came in to help the IRGC, and the Israelis and the Americans knocked 10 bells of shit out of them as well. You can't make this stuff up, I tell you. It's just amazing that we were being told on Friday night, Saturday morning, that the airman was down in southwest Iran, and they were looking, and they showed the helicopters going flying up and down. They were decoys. They were CIA misleading information. So that's where the IRGC was concentrating, like 300 miles away from where he actually was. And they went in. The Iranians were helping us, or the Americans anyway. Because I put myself on the side of the Americans in this thing. Not like Starmer. He hates Trump so much, he couldn't even join the coalition to open up the straits to get the oil out. We had a minesweeper there 2 days before the Americans hit Iran. He hates Trump so much, he would not help him. That's why we're not doing anything. That's why no ships were ready, because he doesn't want to help Trump. He's foolish. Starmer is a clown. Our people were being attacked in Cyprus by drones from Iran, from the IRGC. And we had no way of defending ourselves. Starmer should resign over that. When the Falklands happened, can't remember his name. Name was not. I can't remember what his first name was. He was the Foreign Secretary or Minister of Defence, something like that. He immediately resigned, saying it was on his watch, and he resigned. I think he's the last honourable politician I think I've seen. It wasn't his fault, but he said the buck stops with me, and I resign. And he did. And we admire him for that. Starmer, on the other hand, U-turn after U-turn after U-turn. Anyway, back to the story. There's a town, and I can't remember the name of it, and I don't think I could pronounce it even if I could. Right, there's a town 50, 60 miles away from where the guy landed, where the guy's hiding out in the hills. There's an American forward base in between them, and there's a town. Now, I'm not sure if it was the Israeli or the CIA, but they're working with the locals, the Shias, the real Iranian people. And they all come out and drive around the town to stop the IRGC being able to drive through. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Of course, when it comes on CNN, there was a report about the report by somebody this morning on a podcast. And they said CNN was reporting the blocking of the roads as the IRGC going to find the airmen, which was totally false. It was stopping them getting the airmen. But you see how things are manipulated, how things are twisted. Now, back to Starmer. Starmer's done another U-turn. Yeah. I don't know if this is 17th, 18th or 19th now. There's been so many U-turns, I've lost count. Rachel Reeves has said she wanted to drill for oil. Yeah. Rachel Reeves said that she's going to work to get drilling licenses issued. Well, that would be Miliband. Miliband would have to issue the licenses as the Environment Secretary. Is it going to happen or not? The oil price is now over $100 a barrel. When the war started, it was around about $70, $75 a barrel. Because there's less oil coming out of the Middle East, the price has gone up. The Americans got their own oil, so they're all right. We've got our own oil, but we're not producing a lot of it. We've actually got oil under the forest of Nottingham, under Nottingham Forest. You know, the Robin Hood thing and all the rest of it. During the war, the Second World War, the Texas oil main came over to Britain and surveyed the whole of Britain. And they drilled and they found oil in Nottinghamshire. It produced 300,000 barrels, I should say. 300,000 barrels of oil a year during the war. After the war, it was shut down because we were buying Middle Eastern oil at a cheap rate. Now the price of oil has gone up, it's worth us drilling in the North Sea. With a low price and the cost of actually drilling rigs out in the North Sea, it doesn't make it effective. So with a high price, it makes it effective, therefore we can re-drill. And we can find more oil fields. There's oil fields everywhere. We've also got natural gas as well, which we've also got to drill for. What they call renewables, which is solar panels and wind turbines, is not sustainable. It's a wind turbine lasts for around about 20 years. Then it needs repair and overhaul to last another 10 or 15 years. And then it's scrap. It's so expensive to take it down and dispose of the tower and the windmill that they're just left. There's in the Irish Sea, off the coast of the east coast of England, there is a field of wind turbines. It's not producing one iota of electricity. The cable that goes to the shore is across rocks. And with the motion of the sea, it actually cut the cable. And they can't afford to replace the cable. So it's there, and it's dead, and it's not doing anything. They also put wind farms on geese flight paths. There's a flight. Oh, got a frog in my throat. There's a flight path that goes up the east coast of America, of England, and the geese use it every year to fly up and down. So some bright spark got a farm, an estate, and put windmill on the top of the hills. So now every year the geese go past, they get sliced up by these windmills. So you've got conservationists and the Greens telling we got to make more electric motors, and then they're killing the wildlife. They reckon bats die. But the trouble is, you can't count the amount of casualties on wind turbines because badgers and foxes will eat the carcasses before you can get there. Because they eat carrion. Anyway, this is Ian. I've said enough. Bye-bye for now. That's my point of view.